Y'all, we are back. We are back. We are back. Today, we're going to go into a little bit more detail about paying off your actual debts. Like we talked about it, but let's talk about it in detail and how you're actually going to get out. So, there are actually two popular methods, not four, there's two. There's actually two popular methods to paying off your debt. All right, the first method is the debt snowball. So this is where you write all of your debts from least to greatest, and you start with the smallest debt first, right? So whatever extra money you have, let's say you have an extra $50 in your budget on top of the minimum payment, let's just say it's $25. So you're going to pay $75 to that first debt until it's paid off, but you're still going to pay all the minimum on the other debts. So once that one is paid off, then you move on to the next one. So let's say that minimum payment is $25 as well. So that first debt is paid off. The second one will now pay $100. 75 from that first payment because you had the money to pay it, 25 of the minimum, and now you're able to roll it. So that's debt snowball. The second one is the avalanche method. So that is where you put your debts in interest rate order. So the lowest interest rate to the highest. However, it's reversed. You pay off the highest interest rate first because that's what's costing you the most money. If you never looked at your credit card statement, please open your credit card statement. It's so much information in there. And actually, I have one open now, so let me go through and tell you what exactly you need to be looking at when you look at your credit card statement. All right, if you've never looked at your credit card statement, please open it. I know a lot of us are paperless and we don't get mail like we used to, but please go out there and check your statement every single month. There could be transactions up there that you did not approve and you may need to dispute those. And it kind of helps you mentally see what you've been spending your money on the credit card. But if you've been stopping the bleeding, you shouldn't have been using your credit cards. But I'm not judging you if you have, because I will have a confession. I used my credit card twice. One, my Best Buy card for a monitor because I just wanted to get it here, but I'll pay it off. And then I used my Amex card for groceries the other day because they give rewards back. So I'll just pay that off as well before the end of the month. So if you're still using your credit cards, just making sure that you're using them responsibly. However, back to what I was saying. Check your credit card statement. Normally on the second or the third page, and sometimes the fourth, there will be your interest rate there, right? You're going to write it down from greatest to least interest rate. You're going to start with the greatest first. So whatever that minimum payment is, let's say it's $100, and you only have $25 extra to throw on it. Now you're going to pay $125 until you can pay it off. Now sometimes that can seem like it takes forever, but this is where the discipline comes in. Most people get a tax return check. I do not get a tax refund, but most people get a tax refund. Dump that on the debt. Don't use it. Don't go spending. Don't go on a trip. If you don't have an emergency fund, go ahead and throw it into your emergency fund, but try to put some of that money on the actual debt. If you get a bonus from work, put that on the debt. If somebody gives you birthday money, put that on the debt. If you just happen to find a lucky scratch off and you won some money, you put that on the debt. It's literally discipline when it comes to paying off these credit cards, y'all. I'm not playing. It is so hard. I'm gonna have an honest moment. It is so hard to pay off debt. In a world where social media is popping, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever else they have out there, everyone is doing clothes hauls, Amazon finds, all the things. You just want to shop. But you have to be disciplined enough to not buy. And like I said in my previous video, write the wish list, write the spending rules, because baby, you're going to have to buckle up and give Jesus the will and trust him and have faith that he will see you through as long as you do your part. Because what? Faith without works is what? Dead. And we don't have time for that. So yes, check your credit card statement. So those are the two methods. The first one is snowball. So that is your debts from least to greatest. You start with the lowest first and work your way down. And then avalanche is highest interest rate down to the lowest interest rate. Start with the highest interest rate. I will say, in my personal opinion, and like I've said this in plenty of videos, I'm not a certified financial planner. I'm not a certified financial advisor. I just love personal finance. I am self-taught. I read a lot of books. I do a lot of research. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of things. So I can only tell you from my experience. As I always say, I am learning out loud. So everything I learn, I'm going to share with my people. So in my personal opinion, the best method to choose depends on the person, right? So for me, Debt Snowball is my favorite, hands down. Every single time I am choosing Debt Snowball because I like quick wins. If the last credit card I paid off was PayPal, and I think it was like $400 something, pay that off, move on to the next one. So it makes me feel like I am making progress. Whereas with the interest rate, with the Avalanche method, my highest interest rate card, the balance is so high, it would take me forever to get to the next one. So for right now, until I feel like the cash flow is flowing in very well, and you can switch. So this is my plan. I plan to get the credit cards down where I have enough left over that I can switch over to Avalanche and start knocking down those higher debts. You don't have to do this. This is just how I want to do it. There is no right or wrong way for me. There's always what works best for the person. How do you process information? How often do you get paid? Do you get bonuses at work? Are you in a cash flow deficit? Do you have enough money coming in to even pay the bills? And when you're in that situation where you don't have enough money coming in to actually pay the bills, you have to take a step back. And I'm going to do another video on this about bare bones budget. We'll talk about it. We will talk about it. I have one. You need one. I'm telling you, you need a bare bones. But if you are in a cash flow deficit, you have to go down to your bare bones budget. And then you will probably, hopefully, be able to have some extra where you can pay down the debts. So there's no right way, no wrong way. It's all about what works best for you and your family, and not what, and I'm not going to down anybody, but not what other people say. I'm just saying. All right. So let's say you are ready to start paying off the car. You selected the car. I'm going to give you guys an example. Of course, I have my handy dandy notebook per use. Y'all, this notebook is so cute. It's from Amazon. I'll link it below, but there are sections in here. Let me see if you can see it. Ooh, that's all my personal information. Let me stop. I'm gonna turn to a blank page. But they have little tabs and you can label them what you want. So I have, the first section is, anyways, I got my handy dandy notebook because we ain't got time to explain. I'm not selling this. I will tell y'all my handy dandy notebook, because there are dividers in here. I have sections with every single bill that I have, every single debt that I have, my sinking funds, my savings challenges. Everything's written down in this book because this is literally my lifeline. Okay, it is my lifeline. But I'm going to teach you all how to actually figure out when you're going to pay off the debt. So I use an example from my own budget. Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys how to actually calculate the payoff debt. We're going to do one credit card at a time because trying too many credit cards at once can be hard. So in my handy dandy notebook, I selected one of my credit cards. So this is real data. And I would just tell you how I would pay it off if I was trying to pay it off in the time. So the balance is $2,530.22. The minimum payment is $75.45. Y'all ready for this interest rate? Child, these people have lost their mind, and I've lost my mind with them by spending the money, but I will pay it off, so we good. The interest rate is 27.49%. That is a lot of interest to pay. And actually, every single month, I looked at my statement. Check your credit card statements. They're charging me $49.45 every single month on interest, right? And the balance is only $200. And if you think about that, let's do some numbers. Hold on. $75.45. That is the minimum payment minus $49.45. Wow. If you really want to wow yourself, figure out how much, y'all, that's my favorite pen. If you really want to wow yourself, figure out how much of that payment is going to principal and how much is going to interest. So I told y'all that the payment was $75.45, right? That's the minimum payment. With the interest on top, that's $49.45. That means only $26 is going to the principal every single month. Do you know how long it's going to take me to pay off $2,530? And this is not accurate math, but just for shits and giggles, divided by $26. 97 months. Y'all, that is 8 years. 8 years to pay off $2,530. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. We are not doing it. No. Y'all get frustrated sometimes. If you can't tell, I get frustrated. So, if I was trying to pay this credit card off in 6 months, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the balance of the card. So that's the $2,530.22. You're going to divide that by 6. It's going to tell you how much you need to pay monthly, right, to get back to the $2,500. So for the monthly amount, it's $421.70. But we're going to break that down into bi-weekly because we get paid every 2 weeks. So bi-weekly, it will be $210.85. But now we need to tack on that interest. This is where I think people get really messed up. You add on the $49.45 to the $210.85. It's $260.30. That's how much you need to pay every 2 weeks when you get paid to pay the credit card off in 6 months. But remember, as the balance goes down, the interest will also go down. So you may need to check your statements just to see what they're charging. So you don't have to do the math. You can do the math if you want to with 27% and figure out how much it is every month. Or you can just check the bank statement and make that payment. So if you were to make a $260 payment, 30 cents, every 2 weeks, you could have the credit card paid off. I could have the credit card paid off in 6 months. So this is not my current payoff, but I did want to give you all an example of how you can actually calculate it. Because sometimes, at least for me, I feel like we see all of this debt and we don't have a plan. We don't even know how to make a plan. So you feel like you're never going to get out of it. But when you write down the numbers and you can see it on paper and say, I'm really paying $26 every single month to a $2,500 credit card. That is insane. And I'm just realizing this myself. So I may be in shock. I'm crying. I'm laughing from crying. But I may be in shock myself because I didn't realize that I was only paying $26 to this credit card because it's not in rotation to be paid off right now. And that gives me motivation to keep working because what the hell? Jesus. Yeah, okay. Whew. Whew. Okay, let's recap. You need the balance of the credit card. You need the minimum payment of the credit card. How much they're charging you every month on interest, as well as the interest rate, because you need to know whether or not you're going to do Avalanche or Snowball. And then you take that balance number and you divide it by how many months you want it to be paid off. Now, if you get paid monthly, then you would have to do the $421 and then add the interest in for the month. But since I get paid bi-weekly, I'm going to do every 2 weeks. So now I know, and these numbers will change, but this credit card is coming up soon. But now I know what the payment will look like for this credit card. So those are the steps to figuring out how to actually get your credit card paid off in a certain amount of time, because we all have deadlines for ourselves. So if you need 6 months, you need 12 months, you want 24 months, whatever the case may be, depending on your budget, as I always say, do what works for you, not for anybody else. No one knows your household. No one knows your bills. No one knows your salary. No one knows your debt. So you do what works for you. But if you have questions or comments, please say something below in the comments. Like, subscribe, share with a friend, share with anybody. There is, and I don't say this as a plug, there is no age limit when it comes to the conversation of finances. I have heard from people who are teenagers, 19, 20 years old. And then I've also heard from people in their 60s and in their 70s. So I say that to say, no matter what age you are, everyone needs help with finances. everyone can use a little knowledge. So if you know someone who is trying to get out of debt, send them this video. If you know someone who may be going in the wrong direction, send them this video, because that $26 realization for your girl, baby, I still can't believe it. But thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all later. Peace out.